neurologic development, or sometimes still immature. Okay, we see changes like breast development in as young as 8, 9 years of age. Okay, so the physical changes are it seems to be not aligned with maturity of this young adolescents. Okay, so and then they feel awkward about their physical appearance. They have pimples. They have breast enlargement, and then they walk awkwardly. Okay, so they are not confident of themselves. So these are some of the changes they have to deal with, aside from rapid growth and other expectations from them. So there are 3 phases, okay? It's not a strict phase, 3 phases of adolescent stage, okay? Because there could be variations in development. So there is overlap sometimes, okay? So these are the 3 phases, and they are grouped according to age range, okay? Early, middle, or late. And then the developmental milestones are not limited to each phase. As I have said, okay, there could be some variations from normal that are still considered physiologic, okay? But these changes are fairly predictable. These are predictable patterns of occurrence, okay? So although there could be overlap, each phase is marked by characteristic set of biologic, cognitive, and psychosocial milestones. So what are the factors affecting developmental course of our adolescents? Okay, one is sex, okay, as I will discuss later about growth spurt, okay, which is earlier in females. Okay, another one is culture and other physical, social, and environmental factors. So given the interaction of these domains, okay, so the perspective is best suited to approach the healthcare of the adolescent. So it's holistic, okay, holistic approach. So there are differences in cultural practices, okay, like in the Western countries, they could be they are more, what do you say, that acceptable of premarital relationships, okay, but in other places or countries, they may be participating at a later age than their counterparts. So puberty is the biologic transition from childhood to adulthood. So it starts with secondary sexual characteristics that appear, okay? And then there are somatic changes such as increase in height, changes in the body shape, okay? And distribution of fats, particularly in females, and the development of reproductive capacity. So for the hormone-mediated development, the adrenal production of androgen, okay, may occur as early as 6 years of age, prepubescent, okay? And that starts with probably with development of underarm odor and faint genital hair, okay? The maturation of the gonadotropin releasing hormone, pulse generator, is among the earliest neuroendocrine changes associated with onset of puberty. So it's really hormonal, okay? Under the influence of GnRH, the pituitary gland secretes luteinizing hormones, okay, and follicle-stimulating hormone, okay. Initially, this occurs in a pulsatile fashion, primarily during sleep, but this diurnal variation diminishes throughout puberty. So the LH and FSH stimulate corresponding increases in your androgens and estrogens. So you are familiar with the SMR, the sexual maturity rating, or what we commonly call Tanner staging, okay? and it is used to describe the progression of the development of the secondary sex characteristics. And this rating is sex specific, okay, of course. And the progress is affected by a lot of factors like genetics, nutrition, okay, overall health status, and environmental exposures like exposure to smoking and drugs and uh, aggressive behaviors, okay? So you refer to Nelson for the detailed description of the different SMR stages for male and female adolescents. So without the picture of the SMR or the Tanner stages, so we know that it is Tanner stage 1 to 5. Okay, 5 being that of a sexually mature, equivalent to a sexually mature adult. Okay, the range of normal progresses to sexual maturation. Okay, it is wide, the range of normal. Okay, it is affected by, again, you are familiar with the genetics, nutrition, environment. Okay, so a 12-year-old who is, let us say, in SMR stage 3 is more mature cognitively and psychosocially than another 12-year-old who is still in SMR 1. Okay, and this could be of different sexes. Okay, so as I have said earlier, there could be some variation. So some will have earlier secondary characteristics, sexual characteristics, early menstruation, then earlier growth spurt than some of their classmates. And that's another source of insecurity for those who have earlier, but not pathologically early onset of secondary sex characteristics. And this may be evident in a classroom of, let us say, grade 7 students, okay? Some are menstruating, some are not yet, okay? Mostly, of course, most of them are, okay? But we do get children 9 years old with menstruation, so grade 3, grade 4, okay? While their counterparts have no sexual secondary characteristic development yet. So the maturity level could be different. The feelings and the conflicts are different. So again, just here we have for the SMR, for the pubic hair from 1 to 5. Okay, so I hold you responsible for the significant findings that are seen in each Tanner stage. And also another SMR for 3 sexual developments of male, and for female we have 2, another one also for the breast SMR staging. I won't go into the details of the characteristic description per stage. Okay, so the first visible sign of puberty in males and the hallmark of SMR2 is testicular enlargement. Okay, and it may begin as early as 9.5 years of age. And this is followed by pubic hair development of SMR3 and then the peak growth at around SMR4, okay? So the peak growth occurs when testis volume reaches approximately 9 to 10 cubic centimeters, and this is during SMR4. While the peak growth in females will be at an earlier SMR. So okay, we'll go to the next one. So under the influence of the luteinizing hormone and testosterone, okay, the different parts are expected to have their development. The seminiferous tubules, epididymis, seminal vesicles, and prostrate as well, which enlarges. So it is noteworthy to mention that generally the left testis is lower than the right, and this may be due to the differences of the vascular anatomy of the left and the right testis. Sperm may be found in the urine by SMR3, okay? And nocturnal emissions may also be noted at this time, okay? In some males, there will be some concern from parents because of some degree of breast tissue growth, okay? So they come in with a mass, with a chief complaint of a mass in the breast, okay? Typically bilateral, so it's really probably hormonal, okay? Occurs in about 40 to 65% of males. So it's a little common, okay? 1 out of 2. And it ranges from, the occurrence ranges from during SMR2 to 4, okay? And it is presumed to be a consequence of a relative excess of estrogenic stimulation. And this is physiologic and usually resolved with ongoing maturation. So observation, not excision, okay, as management. But of course, that's in the absence of changes in skin color, in the absence of discharge, and this makes the mass pathologic. In females, the first visible sign of puberty and the hallmark of SMR2 is the appearance of breast buds, okay? And this occurs as early as 7 years of age up to 12 years of age, okay? A significant minority of females, they develop pubic hair prior to breast bud development, okay? And there could be less visible changes like enlargement of the ovaries, uterus, labia, and clitoris, okay? And then thickening of the endometrium and vaginal mucosa. Okay, so a clear vaginal discharge may be present, and this is physiologic leukorrhea prior to the menstruation. And menses typically begins within 3 years of LR. Okay, so if they have it at 7 years of age, they will have their first menstruation at around 10. What is pathologic is menstruation before 8 years of age. Okay. So it's around 10. It could be as young as 9 since ang pathologic naman is less than 8. Okay. So SMR 3 to 4, average age there will be around 12.5 years, but it has again a wide range of 9 to 15. Okay. So it encompasses 2 phases of adolescent stage. Okay. The timing of first menses is determined largely by genetics. Okay. Early menstrual cycles often are anovulatory and thus irregular as expected during the first 2 years from onset of menstruation. But typically, it occurs every 21 to 45 days. So every month or every 1.5 months. Okay. And it lasts 3 to 7 days. Okay. And usually, it may even follow during the first year. This irregularity may be observed for 1 to 2 years from onset. So what contributes to early menstruation? Okay. Increased adiposity is associated with early onset. So you will expect that the athletes will have a much later age of onset. Okay. Other stressors that may also cause delay in onset will be malnutrition, okay, psychosocial stressors as well, okay, may delay the onset. So females often attain a peak height velocity of that is about 9 centimeters a year, okay, at SMR2. Okay, and when does it start? Between 7 to 10. Okay, so they will have a growth spurt of an increase in height of about 10 centimeters. Okay, and that's approximately 6 months before their menses. Okay, so that's the cue. Once you see a niece who suddenly has grown tall for about 10 centimeters and with beginning breast development, expect menarche in the next 6 months. Okay, so this is an example of a predictable pattern of development, regardless of time of onset in different individuals. So breast development, growth or height velocity, and then menstruation. Okay. Generally, we see that there is breast development that happens first in a female, of course, and followed by peak height and then menstruation. While males typically begin their growth acceleration at a later stage of SMR, okay, they achieve a peak height velocity of around the same 9 centimeters a year later, like in the Tanner stage 4, 3 to 4. Okay, so if you will go to a classroom of students, co-ed students who are grade 5 or 6, the girls are much taller than their male classmates. But if you go to a class of grade 9, okay, males now are much taller than the female counterparts. Okay, so growth spurt also begins distally. This is very notable in our adolescents. They have very long hands, diba? That's the one that starts to develop, and they have large feet, okay? And they look ugly, okay? Ugly looking because it doesn't seem to be proportionate to their body, okay? But they also have long arms, okay? That's because it's a distal, the growth spurt begins distally, okay? And then, just leave this for a while. Okay, so the growth pattern imparts a characteristic awkward appearance to some early adolescents. Okay, so some young adolescents, if they talk with their moms and put their hands together, their 11-year-old will have like longer hands than their mom, okay, but their body is not yet proportionate to the extremities. Okay, you could observe that, okay, in some adolescents. orientation. So body image may affect and may be affected by adolescents' psychosocial development, of course, okay? Early and middle adolescents are usually the ages at which poor or distorted body image and eating disorders are observed, okay? They're not confident of the body changes. Okay? They are on a diet, they have pimples, okay? Others don't have. So early adolescents undergo rapid physical changes and may experience uncertainty about whether all these changes are normal. Am I normal? Okay, why am I different? So as puberty comes to an end and these changes slow down, the middle adolescent's preoccupation may shift to whether the adolescent is attractive to others. Okay. So a strong emphasis on physical appearance during this time is normal. Okay. Middle adolescence. Okay. Although the focus on physical appearance may continue into adulthood, late adolescence generally is characterized by a shifting balance towards introspection with somewhat less emphasis placed on external characteristics. They are really more mature than late adolescents, less on physical attributes. The progression of pubertal changes in males is generally associated with a positive self-image. Generally, early maturing males tend to have greater self-confidence, social and academic success, while later maturing males are at risk for more internalizing behaviors and diminished self-esteem. So that's the difference between the sexes. For males, it's like they are more superior than the late maturing age counterparts, okay? Females may initially perceive these changes in their physical appearance more negatively, opposite of the males, okay? And this is especially true for early maturing females. It's hard because they are at a younger age, okay? And early maturing than their counterparts, okay? So they have problems with self-esteem, some, okay? They may engage in disruptive behaviors because they cannot deal with such early physical changes, okay? So they may have more conflict with parents than do others who are on time in their maturation or even late in their maturation stages. So early maturing females are vulnerable to making poor decisions when they are in a high-risk situations. And this may be due to the fact that, of course, their cognitive skills are not yet fully developed compared to their physical growth, okay? So it is normal for adolescents to take risks, okay? It's how we learn new things in this period, okay? So it helps adolescents discover answers to questions and to gain more skills as they prepare to leave the safety of their homes. But some risks may have its permanent consequences like pregnancy, okay, or disability, okay, due to accidents, okay. And why do they take risks, okay? A risk is essentially just a behavior for which the outcome is uncertain, okay? And risk in this context does not mean out of control behaviors, okay? So adolescence is a period of uncertain outcome for the most part, okay? The adolescent experiences shifting relationships concerning parents, friends, and peers, okay? And responsibilities as they go through this period may vary and change. This is part of the learning process of the adolescent. So that's it. So parents don't take the consequences of the risks that their adolescent children take, okay? That's how we teach them, okay? We give them the options, and then they have the freedom to choose, to decide, but the consequence of the action may be permanent, doesn't have to be changed, doesn't have to be assumed by the parent, okay? Otherwise, how will they learn if they don't face the consequences of their decisions and actions? What are the drivers for taking risks, okay? So earlier we said that amygdala and limbic areas control our social and emotional experiences, and this developed earlier than the prefrontal part of the brain that is responsible for cognitive, for executive decision, okay, which is also an important in our decision making, the decision making of the adolescents, but it develops later, okay? Then there is pruning and strengthening of connections for experiences that matters, okay? One way of strengthening the connections used by the brain is through the neurotransmitter dopamine, okay, also known as the feel-good chemical, okay? Studies have shown that levels of dopamine increases whenever we take risks and when outcome is uncertain. So for some, they have that feeling of, you know, the effect of the dopamine, okay? This enhances the neural connections in the brain, okay? The risks that we take, okay? It also plays a role in executive functions such as attention and cognitive control that help support decision making. The presence of peers, or even the thought that their peers know, may push an adolescent to take a risk, and reward response is amplified in these situations, okay? As the rewarding feeling is more intense in the presence of their peers, the more the adolescent would engage in risk-taking behaviors. So it's really, there's a factor of peer pressure there. The risk-taking behavior can also be a positive risk in the presence of peers, like standing for a cause you believe in, social activism, and the like. Okay, so it could be a positive risk or a negative risk. So let's look at the adolescents' health in the Philippines, okay? So accidents and injuries accounted for the largest percentage of deaths among adolescents, okay? In the year 2005. Traffic accidents are the second leading cause of death in the Philippines for young people and the general population. The pedestrians and motorcyclists are at most risk, okay? So it's also how we provide adequate road safety measures that may also protect them. And this is more evident in other countries, okay? For the motorcycle lane, for the bicycle lanes in some European countries where government really invests on, okay? So here's the mortality rates of the leading causes of death among adolescents aged 10 to 19 in 2005, okay? In other countries, this will include suicides or gun-related aggressive behaviors of some adults, okay? Even adolescents. According to the 2002 Young Adult Fertility and Sexuality Study, the YAFS, okay? Among women aged 15 to 19, 2% had their first sexual intercourse at age 15, okay? And in the 2002 survey, the mean number of sexual partners among those aged 15 to 24 was 4. 1 among males and 2.8 among females, okay? 4.1 among males. Number of sexual partners of a male is 4 and about 3 among females. Okay, so this data would also inform us of the higher number of teenage pregnancy, of sexually transmitted diseases, and HIV. Okay. Adolescent pregnancy shows, of course, an increase in incidence, okay, and a trend that still persists today, especially during the pandemic, okay. While the fertility rate in all women had decreased over the years, the rate among 15 to 19 years of age had increased slightly over the last 3 decades, okay. Our neonates with diseases, if we listen to the admitting histories in government hospitals, you will hear born to a 15-year-old G1, diba? This is the history of our neonates who are being brought to the hospitals. These are products of teenage pregnancy. And they are at higher risk of health-related morbidities and mortality as well. Undernutrition is a persistent problem with more seen in males than in females, okay? Another important factor affecting adolescent development. So depression, anxiety, and mood disorders were found to be common mental health problems among the youth, okay? Add to it the impact of the pandemic, okay? We have higher numbers also of physically or sexually abused adolescents, okay, during this time period. Among all youths, females were more than twice as likely as males to have had suicidal thoughts. It's the suicidal thoughts, okay? However, males were slightly more likely to carry out a suicidal act than females, okay? And it was likely that youth suicide rates were underreported as associated, because it's associated with stigma, okay? And may deter the mention of the issue. Okay, so another cultural concern that we have. But we have heard, and these are, some of the news are not really published, but you can hear direct stories from witnesses that there are some suicides in schools, in colleges, usually jumping off the buildings, okay? And these are usually not reported, okay? I mean, parents would not want to discuss about it anymore, okay? But some are advocates. Some whose adolescent child committed suicide would be saying that they didn't see any signal. There was no sign that there was mental health issue, okay? Now, the global school-based students' health survey intake of alcohol would show that it started at an early age, and among the drugs used by adolescents, marijuana is the most commonly used. However, they also noted that other drugs like shabu are also being used and popular to them. You see, 1 out of 5 were 13 years of age or younger when they had their first drink. Much younger than during our time. So things to study further will be the adolescent history, the heads first, or the heads. We have the same components, okay? And these are the references. So that will be all for this afternoon, okay? So the remaining hour could be spent for your other activities, okay? But you'll just have to stay logged in for a while if there are no concerns. Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you po, Doc. Thank you po,